mindset. We're Sherry and Jana, best friends, moms, and entrepreneurs keeping it real about all things business, motherhood, and travel. We're about to dive into some honest combos, smart tips, and all things about that crazy mompreneur life.
In today's episode, we are going to talk to Monica, who is not only a friend, but she is an entrepreneur, a mom, a wife, a professional, everything, all of the above that you could ever hope for, and really talk about her journey in entrepreneurship. So we're going to start with just your who, your why, your how, and then we'll probably have some questions along the way.
Sounds great. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me here today. Those are all words that describe me. Lots of them. And I think moms wear a lot of those hats. So entrepreneur is not something I ever wanted to be, actually. In fact, a year before I opened my business, I was playing tennis with a young lady who had just graduated from college. And I asked her what her degree was in. And she said entrepreneurship. And I said, I don't even know what that means. And legitimately, I didn't. I had never wanted to open a business. I've been a nurse practitioner for 16 years. And my husband always was like, so do you want to do your own thing someday? And I was like, no, absolutely not. I do not want to know who is turning the lights on. I don't want to care about billing and coding and bookkeeping. No, why would I do that? I want to take care of people. Well, unfortunately, I got into the world of healthcare and realized that that's not what healthcare providers actually do. We treat our patients like cattle, and we basically do paperwork for insurance companies all day long. That's all I was doing. I was spending 3 minutes with each patient and giving them a drug to appease whatever symptoms they were having, and really not ever talking to them about the things. And I'm a relationships person. Jana obviously knows this. And that's not what I was doing. And so after 10 years of being a nurse practitioner, I was relocating to Texas and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I'd done multiple areas in the healthcare world, from primary care to urgent care. I did orthopedics and vascular surgery. But I really loved primary care because I was taught to take care of a whole person. And that's what I wanted to do. But it is exhausting in the insurance world. Like 30 patients a day, you get 3 minutes. It's literally like a cattle drive every day, and stacks of paper and all the disaster. And so I actually got a Facebook ad that changed my life. It said, primary care physician takes home $400,000 a year and is home in time for dinner. Click. Like, that is clearly a lie, but hey, I'm here for it, right? And it was all about direct primary care, which is what I do now. So direct primary care is a membership model for healthcare. We don't process insurance claims, and we just treat people like humans. So it's like a gym membership for your doctor or Netflix, right? You pay your monthly fee and then you get unlimited care. And so I dove into it and I was like, this sounds interesting. And so I, watched every podcast, watched every YouTube video, read every blog post I could find, and went to my husband and said, so I think I'm going to open a practice where I can see less patients, take better care of them, have more control of my time, and make the same amount of money. And he, no joke, laughed in my face. My husband has an MBA, and he was like, yeah, that's not life. That's not real life. You can't have all 4 of those. Maybe you can pull off 3, but not all 4. And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. So I Googled how to write a business plan because, ChatGPT was not a thing back then, and wrote a business plan, went to my husband and said, I need $20,000 and I'm not going to get paid for at least 6 months. And he said, okay, let's do this. So did all the front end work, moved to Texas. 3 weeks later, opened my practice. I knew 2 humans in all of Central Texas at that time. And so not only was I launching a new practice with a new idea, a new model, but also I had no patient following. People didn't know if I was an idiot or not. So I had to prove not only was I not an idiot, but also that this model would work. So I dove in with all my feet. I started in April of 2019. I had convinced 23 humans that I was not an idiot. And fast forward 6 years later, I now have 3 locations. I have 10 employees, and we have over 2,000 patients at our practice. So to say it was easy is a total lie. It's been a struggle for sure. But it's had its ups, its downs. And yeah, here I am on this lovely podcast, being an entrepreneur that I never knew I actually wanted to do.
Yeah. And it's phenomenal to begin with. Like, I don't use the word awesome very lightly, but it really is awesome. We've known each other for 4 years now. And I remember hearing you for the first time, and you said something similar, that you got here, you knew 2 people. And then now at that point, it was like you had 1,000 members, and, it's even doubled, which is very well-deserved. And like you said, hard work did not just happen overnight by any means. So it's been such a transformation. And you and I have talked about this, and then we actually talked about it on a previous podcast, but like defining success. And I think we've all had our own little piece of it, but like, I was always like, oh, I've got to make more money. I've got to climb the corporate ladder for me. I've got to do X, Y, Z. I've got to have this job title. I've got to make this amount of money. And, you know, having children change that a little bit, just getting older or younger, shall I say, has changed a little bit of that. But like, kind of talk to us about your perspective of that, because defining success can be based around money, time, energy, being at home for dinner with young children or, you know, teenage children that some days we love and may not love. We're not there yet, but you know, you've been there. So talk to us about that, about what that looked like for you.
Yeah, that has been an uphill climb for me. As a people pleaser and an overachiever extraordinaire, there's never a top, right? I would set a goal, I would get there, and I wouldn't even celebrate it. It was like, cool, got it, and what's next, right? And it is exhausting. And so when I first opened my practice, my job was, my goal was to give myself a job. It was going to be me, 500 patients in my little office, and that was going to be it. And then 15 months later, I was like, I can't do this by myself. I need more people. And then it just kept going. It was like, wait, no, this is a service that people want and they need. They just don't know it exists. But the struggle with that is that you have to educate every patient, right? Nobody knows what direct primary care is. I can't just put out a Google ad. It doesn't work, right? And so success of growth quickly became Monica's face everywhere, right? I was creating a brand. I was creating trust. I was doing all these things. And turns out I can only be in so many places at one time. And so I nearly completely burnt myself out. So after the first office was super successful, it was like, cool, let's do this again. And so we opened our second office, which is about 15 miles north, but we started from nothing. Nobody knew who I was up there. And so I had to start again. And guess what? They needed to see my face. And I can't be there and at the first office. But we did it and it started to grow. And then the third office came because there was an office that was going out of business. They were an insurance-based practice. They were going bankrupt. And so we offered to transition them over, which was a whole different world. But that one started with, 200 and something patients that had been from the previous practice. That was a little different. But even now, growing that one, it's still my face. So when we first opened the second office, we were like, yeah, we're going to open a new practice every year for the next 7 to 10 years. And then I'll exit and we'll, sell this thing for a few, multi-million dollars. It's like, all right, cool, let's do it. And my head was like down in it. And then I went on a reality TV show, which was an entrepreneur competition. And I was in a room with 120 other business owners. And it was like mind blowing. It was amazing. It's called The Blocks. It's on Amazon Prime. If you're an entrepreneur, go watch it. Like, just go watch a season. It's free if you Google their app. I learned so much from it, but I came out of that like, okay, balls to the wall, let's do this. And I got physically ill.
Wow.
Like, it was awful. And so I've been working with, I call him my success coach because he's way more than a business coach. And he's like, Monica, what are you doing? Like, why are you putting all this pressure on yourself? And I was like, oh, I have to be bigger and better and all the things because I'm a damn American, to be honest, right? Like, just go spend a little time in Europe. You're like, oh, this is how people can live. Got it. Cool. Anyway, I digress. I'll go back. So I had to have like some serious, like, come to Jesus talk with myself. Like, sat down and journaled a lot of like, why did I do this? And I was so concerned about telling my husband that I was not going to open 7 more clinics, that he was going to be disappointed in me. It took everything for me. Wow. It's like making me emotional. Like, I was so afraid of disappointing somebody. And so I finally was like, Clay, I can't do this. Like, this is it. I'm done. I'm not opening any more practices. He was like, okay, cool. He's like, you didn't do this to be overwhelmed. Yeah. You did this to be happy and to have control of your time. And so I think it's very important as an entrepreneur to very much so write down exactly what success means to you, because your success and we're all different. And mine is my time. You're exactly right. I want to be at every kid's soccer game. I want to be home when he gets home from school. I want to do these things. That's why I did this. Part of those 4 things was having control of my time. And I was losing it, to be honest. And it was such a relief. I could like breathe again when I was like, I'm not opening anymore. Don't ask me, people. Yeah. But then I was also afraid of what people would think. Like, oh, well, you did it 3 times. Why can't you do it 4? Yeah. My plan was to do it once, okay? Not 3 times. And so I think that this idea of success, right? Like, you get to that first $1 million in revenue, which is huge, right? Like most people never get there. You get to that first one and then it's like, well, where's the second and the third and the fourth? It's like, stop it.
Yeah.
What do you really want? Because at the end of the day, when I sell this business or become work optional in 8 to 9 years, whether I have $3 million, $7 million, or $12 million doesn't matter if my son doesn't know my name. And that's ultimately my success. And I think that it's very, very important as an entrepreneur to make sure that you keep that at the front of your story all day, every day.
So like tips that I'm taking from this is from the word go, you had these 4 things that you believe this business could accomplish for you. And as we grow a business, our goals change, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you're, like you said, what you were measuring as success then became bigger and bigger. And that's okay. But you just have to also be reflecting back on the original why.
Absolutely.
And that'll maybe keep you sane and keep you from going bigger than you should.
100%. Like knowing your why and knowing what your definition of success is and celebrating them along the way is incredibly important. I think way too often we get to those goals and like I said, we don't celebrate them. And so there's a book I don't remember what it was, but there was a guy telling a story about how he went on a hike with his dad. And his dad at one point was like, hey, go ahead. I'll catch up with you at the end. And so the son went on and then his dad didn't show up and he got really worried about him. And so he like travels back in the trail and he finds his dad just sitting on a rock. And he's like, Dad, what are you doing? It's getting dark. We have to get out of the woods. He was like, I'm just enjoying the sunset. He was like, son, sometimes you have to enjoy the journey. And it was like, oh my gosh, that's so like mind blowing to me. So the ring on my right hand actually says enjoy the journey on it because I have to remind myself.
Yeah.
I get emotional very easy. Thank you to my child. But yeah, like I have to remind myself to celebrate the little wins, right? Because otherwise we just get we're drowned and overwhelmed in all of these things that we think are important that determine our worth. I'm here to tell you there's no revenue number that delineates what your worth is. Yeah. You are worthy today.
I'm getting a little teary-eyed because like how often have I ruined my day, my month, my week because you're measuring it and thinking things are important that aren't really, when if you slow down, you're like, man, my kid laughed with me today.
Absolutely.
Right? I helped one person with my business, but it's so easy to forget those little wins when you're just chasing the next big thing.
It's kind of like I started when my kids were young, telling my oldest that like an affirmation. So every day it was something around like, you're going to be kind, you're going to be strong, you're going to be brave, kind of mixed in with our Kids Strong business too. But I'd started it like just being kind. I had to drive that home for whatever reason. And he's like the sweetest little boy ever.
He's so sweet.
Yeah. And the siblings were still in the, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see about those girls. But anyways, in saying that, like I just impacted myself with it though. And so now I just have kind of my own affirmation and it changes a little bit day to day. And sometimes it's not even nice words sometimes, like not being down on myself by any means, but it just like may have a little like grunt behind it or something. And I think that's huge to do along the way. It's like, it can be considered a pep talk. It can be considered a reset. And you know, that's something that we've done as business partners down the road. And sometimes we'll have like a friend moment. Like we're literally like no work friend comment or no friend comment. This is a work comment because we have disagreements. We agree to disagree 5 times a week. It's phenomenal that we're still like best friends and remain sane, pretty close to it. You know, I'll give us a win on that. But you know, we've talked about like, we've set our goals. And as you can imagine in our 7 years of business right now 6 years of business, we have continued to change in a good way. But like we keep going back to the drawing board and rewriting what it is. Because when we started I call it our main entrepreneurial journey, the one that was like just us, we're all the risk, we're all the money, we're all the loss, we're all the win, we're all the gain. And we both started with one child each that wasn't even a year old. And we thought it was the easiest thing ever. We hit the lottery. We can do this. How great are we? And then we quickly got just like brought down to earth and we're just like, oh, cool. So yeah, so there's a business and then there's like a kid that you have to keep alive that doesn't come with the manual and then doesn't tell you what to do or how to do it. And then there's a second kid for each of us, which we're so thankful and, you know, loving and grateful and all the good things, but it's more time. And then, oh, wow, now there's a third one for each of us. So like we've grown from one business, one kid each to now we have 7 businesses with 3 kids each and multiple dogs and husbands. And I mean, we're just the best circus in the world. Like, and we love it. good. I feel like we're thriving by all means, like not just surviving, like we're thriving. But it's going back to our measurement of success is different from each other.
Yeah.
But we've continued to change it. And it sounds like that's something you've done too, is like your measurement of success was like, you're going to open 1. And then you're like, no, you're going to open 2. And then it's like, you knew 3 was your stopping point and you have your non-negotiables. And that's kind of what we've done too, is just decided that we're willing to go this far, but not this far. And then like, we've either made ourselves happy by the mindset that we have, the just saying it out loud, talking it through with each other or our partners or our friends, colleagues, peers, just to make sure that we stay grounded in what we're looking for, but that we can still be successful, because there is that piece of us. It's like an adrenaline almost of like, let's open another one. Let's go do this. Let's succeed. Let's make this happen. And then, I mean, I feel like we're highly successful and we're kind of in the thick of it still. You know, like we're still figuring out the business and have good days and bad days. And some days our P&Ls may make us want to cry, to be fully transparent. But we're getting there. And then we have great months too, just like you know, you started with 2 members and then now you're like 2,000. That's just, it's impressive. Like if you can get in the right mindset and just keep yourself grounded or help people keep you grounded.
Sometimes I have to like back up and look at myself from someone else's view, right? Like I look at the 2 of you and I'm like, are you kidding me? You ladies are like circus wranglers. I have 1 kid and 1 business and I'm like, I'm good. I can't imagine. And so sometimes I have to look at myself and be like, Monica, if you were talking to any other person and they said they built a business from nothing into what you have built it into, you would be in awe of them. You would be like, oh my gosh, you are freaking amazing, right? But instead I'm like, oh, I'm just not enough yet. Never enough. And it's like, stop it. Be nice to my friend Monica, which I say to my patients all the time. Like, be nice to my friend Jenna.
I say that to our employees all the time.
Yeah.
Because you know, we have 73 employees and 3,700 kids go in our program right now. And it's so common for people to have this negative self-talk.
Yeah.
And so
it's easy.
Be nice to my friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
So I have a question for you, because you brought up that at one point you actually got physically ill.
Oh, yeah.
And at Orange Theory Fitness, my last adventure, right, before Kids Strong, that happened to me, right, is I got completely ill, massive thyroid issues, autoimmune disease. And when I had time to sit back and look at everything that had happened, it was so clear, right, of what signs I should have looked for with my stress level, with my work habits, right? And so I'm wondering for you, right, you're a mom, you're starting your business, you're trying to scale and go to your second business. Were there signs that maybe you ignored that you wish you hadn't, or like what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe right now feeling tired and like they need a mental health day? What are we missing?
I mean, I feel like we need mental health weeks, to be honest. It was very evident to me. I started gaining weight. I started being fatigued. Like I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. My son would ask me to go do something. I'm like, no, I'm exhausted. Like I can't do it. I wasn't sleeping well. Things just were not great. And so I had to, have a little come to Jesus talk with myself that I oftentimes have with my patients about like, what is health? How do you stay healthy in this world that is hard? And so you have to remind yourself a lot and really paying attention to how you feel and how you wake up and what your mood is like, especially as females, right? Because those things change with time and babies and all the things. So you've got to pay attention. Your body is telling you something for a reason, which unfortunately I had to wait until I literally was like, physically, I couldn't get out of bed because I was so exhausted and like actually had an illness from it. Like it was just like your random cold, but my immune system was so far beat down that it was like, yep, we're done, lady. We're just going to cut you off. We've tried to tell you a few times and now.
So just like you're checking back in with your why to be a healthy entrepreneur, mompreneur, you've also got to be honestly giving yourself permission to feel the way you're feeling and ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this coming from a healthy place or is this coming from an unhealthy place where I need to read the writing on the wall and say, maybe I'm going a little bit too far. Maybe it's time to revisit that why again and see if my new goals actually don't align with my original why.
Absolutely. And now I do that monthly instead of waiting to kill myself. Yeah. I will, check in once a month. I'm not a big journal person. Like I don't like to write that much, but I find that it's helpful. And sometimes I'll even verbally journal. So I'll like go on a walk, put my headphones in, start a notes in my iPhone and just talk to my phone about what's
Love
going on
that.
in my
That's a
life.
good idea.
And then it dictates it out for me. And then you can take it because it doesn't like put all the word, like the right punctuation in it, but put that into AI and be like, hey, make this into
Yep.
well punctuated. And then that will make the journal entry for me, just so I can kind of like check in with myself. So
Pro tip.
So I've always heard you say that like health is the most valuable thing you can have.
yeah.
And so I've heard you speak several times now, and I want you to talk to us about the 4 pillars of health because
Sure.
it's so easy, yet I don't do it. Like, I don't know if anyone else does it either. So just kind of walk us through that of what you believe the 4 pillars of health is.
I mean, you can have millions of dollars, but if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter, right? If you can't get out of bed because you're debilitated, that $7 million does you no good. I mean, maybe if you like to play games on your phone and want to spend all your money on that, then that's fine. But if you want to spend your money on activities and memories and travel and, you know, the things in life, then if you don't have your health, you're kind of SOL. So yeah, there's really 4 main pillars of health that I kind of like live and breathe with our patients. And the first one is sleep. There's going to be somebody watching this like, I only need 4 hours of sleep. You're lying. I hate to break it to you, but you've just lived off of that and you've learned to deal with it. The average adult needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep, like minimum. And good sleep, not like, oh, let me watch my phone and then I'll fall asleep and then I'll wake up and turn it off and like all the things. So you have to set yourself up for sleep though, right? Like having a routine, just like you have a morning routine, you should have a nighttime routine. Like you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you read a book, turn the lights off. Like there should be no lights in your room. None. Your phone should not be in your room. If you use it as an alarm clock, find a new one. Okay.
Wow.
Just do it. It should also be cold. Like it should be cool and very dark. And also you should not have a television in your room. There's zero reason to watch TV in your room. Your room is for 2 things. One is sleeping. I'll let you figure out the other one, right? That is all that should happen in your bedroom. And so if that's not happening, you're setting yourself up for failure. So there are people who are insomniacs. There's all these things for the women in the world who are, you know, over 35. If you're waking up between 2 and 4, I'm going to tell you it's probably a hormone thing. So get that checked. But that's a whole nother conversation. But you have to sleep. The second is stress. 80% of issues that are brought to healthcare providers are caused by chronic stress. High blood pressure, diabetes, autoimmune disorders. It's all stress related. And it's because of how we live our lives, right? We don't work 9 to 5. We don't have husbands that work and moms that stay home and take care of like this just doesn't happen anymore. And so if you don't manage your stress, you're shortening your life.
How do you do that?
That's a great question.
Yes.
And so my number one key to that,
Yeah.
boundaries.
Good old boundaries.
You have to set boundaries. You have to stick to them. And those boundaries have to have a consequence if they are not upheld.
Give me an example.
So if I say to my son, the boundary is you have to put your breakfast dishes away in the morning, right? After you eat your breakfast, you have to put it in the sink, right? That's my boundary. And if you don't follow that, here is the consequence.
Give me
right?
an adult boundary.
So my brother came to visit. My brother is loud. Like he's just naturally loud, as are his children. And so when they all came to visit, I said, listen, in this house, we use indoor voices. Should you choose not to use an indoor voice, I will give you 1 warning. If you choose to ignore my 1 warning, you will be forced to go outside for 10 minutes. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's hot. You're going outside for 10 minutes and then you can come back in. And just by setting that boundary, every time that they were there and I gave the warning, they stopped.
So let me ask you this, because I find myself to be the most guilty of not following my own boundaries. Jana knows this. I'll set a boundary, but then my excuse is I care so much, right, that I want to answer that call from my employee who's calling me, even though I know the reality is the world won't end if I don't, right? Mm-hmm. So how do I set up a consequence for myself when I break my own boundaries?
Well, first of all, that boundary has to go to the employee.
Yeah.
You don't call me after this time unless death is upon you. Right? So we had to set this with our patients, right? You can't call me at 2:30 in the morning. I have a life. Like this is how it is. So I don't know that that's a boundary for you unless you want that to be your boundary, but this sounds like a boundary for your employees.
Okay.
So if you're struggling to fulfill a boundary, the question is the boundary actually for you, or is it because someone else is breaking your boundary that maybe you haven't told them?
Or if I have, I didn't set a consequence.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or you let them break it.
Yeah.
Right. If it's, listen, you don't call me after 9:30. So at my office, it was, you can call us, but if you call us, you have to leave a voicemail and you have to send us a text message we will read it. If it's important enough for us to call you back, we'll call you. But your poor planning is not my emergency.
That's great. I love the
And
text.
so you have to set those boundaries because you want them to know you still care. But setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't care. It just means that you are setting yourself up to have time for the things that are important.
That's beautiful.
Boundaries are very important. And yes, we have those like goals we set, like I'm going to go to the gym, right? That's not as much a boundary as much as a goal.
Yeah.
Right. And so that can be a mindset shift as well. But when boundaries are in place, they should be very well delineated. And by the way, I'm just learning this myself. So I'm no expert on this. It has taken me years to figure this out. But you have to set boundaries to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And people need to follow those. So huge thing for stress. Also meditation, yoga, sitting down, turning the TV off, like sitting in silence, just driving your car with nothing on for 5 minutes. Breathing, breath work is huge. I suck at it, but just taking one deep breath can really bring that down because cortisol is your stress hormone, right? And you only have so much of it. And so a lot of us suffer from adrenal fatigue. And so you just have to work on that. So set boundaries both at home and at work.
Love it.
It doesn't make you a jerk. It just makes you a person, right? And I will also tell you, if you set boundaries up front, it's much easier than after you've let people break the rules forever and then you're going to set a boundary. So set it from the beginning. And I learned this the hard way in my practice. I let patients walk all over me because I just wanted to grow my business. And then it was like, well, you let me do this before.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're right, I did, but no longer. Like, this is the rule and we are sticking to it, especially in healthcare. Like, we have people who are like, but just this one time, can you write? No, we can't, because as soon as I do it for you, I have to do it for the next guy. And so sticking to those boundaries. My third big pillar is nutrition, right? What goes in must come out. And so unfortunately in this world, about 60 to 80% of the average American's diet is not just processed, but ultra processed. This means it has some sort of starch, gum, science-made thing to make it crunchier, last longer, be more shelf stable. And so all those things that are on the inside of your grocery store, processed or ultra processed. And so we've got to decrease that. The more things that you can eat that come out of the ground or are in the world in their whole form, the much better off you are, right? Obviously, there are things in the middle aisles of the grocery that are just processed, right? Flour is processed, but it's not ultra processed. Now, the bread that you buy at the store, that's ultra processed because it lasts for, a week and a half, which is not normal. So trying to decrease processed and ultra processed foods, putting things in your body that make you feel good has to happen. And whether that means your body doesn't like dairy or doesn't like gluten, you have to figure that out. There's no magic diet. I don't care who you are. There's not one diet that makes everybody work well. Keto makes me feel awful, but it makes other people feel great. So you have to find the one that works for you. But ultimately, eating whole foods is going to make you feel better.
So eat your vegetables.
Vegetables, fruits, meats, even dairy. Like, as long as it's, I'm going to tell you, we did this whole low fat craze back in the 90s.
I remember.
All they did was took out fat and added sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sugar is terrible for you. Like, no matter how you put it. Obviously, honey, agave, a little bit better, but all of these sweetened things that we eat and drink are just killing us all. Like, I've been to Europe many times in the last few months, and every time I go, I'm like, why are people so much healthier here? Right? Like, half of them are smoking. They eat pizzas that are this big every night. I get it. They tend to walk a little bit more than we do, but when you come down to it, there's something like 80% of the foods that are in the United States are banned in Europe, like from the dyes and all the added things we have. The food in Europe just tastes better, like, because it's not ripened off of the vine, it's ripened on the vine. So tomatoes taste like tomatoes. Yeah. And so trying to find good quality sources is really a key to longevity. And the fourth pillar is body movement. Please note, I did not say exercise. You don't need to sweat. You don't need to go to a fancy gym. You can touch your toes. That counts as movement, right? So whether you're sitting on the floor, doing some stretches after the day is over, taking a walk, and it doesn't have to be 30 minutes every day, all day at 7 a.m. It can be 5 minutes after breakfast, 10 minutes before lunch. Like, it adds up with time. But I'll tell you, the number one way to get it in your life is to put it on your calendar.
Yeah, schedule it.
Right? Everybody says, I don't have time. Well, we had time to be here, didn't we? But it's because we put it on our calendar. If we had not put it on our calendar, we'd be like, oh yeah, I was supposed to do that thing. I kind of forgot, right? So put it on your calendar. And like I said, it doesn't have to be like super sweaty exercise. Yes, strength training is really good, especially for women over 35. But ultimately, if you just want to take a walk, just taking a walk is better than nothing.
And doesn't walking actually reduce your stress levels as well?
Yeah. And that's what movement in general, right? So any form of exercise movement will also help decrease your stress. So yeah, those are my 4 things I'm going to live and die on: stress, sleep, nutrition, movement.
Well, in the movement part, I actually read something the other day that said that they block their time off, like their 8 to 6 job or whatever. They had just a corporate desk job, but they work in 50-minute intervals. So the last 10 minutes of every hour, they got up and they moved their body, whether it was, we live in Texas and it's a million degrees, you'll melt. So maybe not always go outside for fresh air, but just walk, get up, go talk to a neighbor, go get a cup of water, coffee, water, or something, go to the restroom, just actually forcing your body to move 10 minutes of every hour. And I was like, wow, that adds up quick.
And my guess is their productivity went way up.
Yes, because you just refocus and and you schedule it, you do it. Yeah. It's non-negotiable to do it. So I think that's a great idea. I only read it like a week ago, so it's on my calendar to actually start putting on my calendar. It's on my to-do list to do, but I think that's a great starting point.
We have our salespeople do it. So our salespeople are supposed to take 10 minutes on every hour of phone calls and get up and move around. And hopefully you go for a walk or you take 3 deep breaths, right? Jana knows I make them breathe on calls, on our leadership calls. I'm like, everyone 3 deep breaths, because it just changes your whole, like you can feel it. If everyone right now just took a deep breath on this podcast, you would feel your whole body changes. That's
100%.
wild. That's powerful and easy.
Absolutely.
You're powerful. Look at you. You're kicking butt.
I'm trying all day, every day. I'm just trying to be the best I can be and make the biggest impact I can, but also keeping my sanity because it's a key to life.
Well, it definitely made an impact on me. And like so many of the things you said, even when you were talking about like, hey, I've just started this. I'm not a professional at this yet. And I just thought of this. I think that's what Mompreneur mindset is all about, is none of us are perfect. None of us have all the puzzle pieces figured out, but we can really work together and empower each other and share in these moments. And I think take bits and pieces from each other's journeys, successes and failures alike. Yeah. And just really, do something special that plays into these 4 pillars, right? Because when I share like this, I feel less stressed right now. I feel more successful hearing you define success. The tears you had helped me feel better too, right? And when you're less stressed, you sleep better. It all just like dominoes.
Because without you, what does your business have? Just saying.
Bunch of kids in our case. It's wild.
Right?
A circus that is not tamed.
You got a bunch of sick people now.
Yeah.
It's been great to get to know your journey. And I think on our next episode, we're actually going to dive in even a little bit more to some hormone-specific questions, right?
Yes.
Popular topic for women of a certain age.
Yeah.
Like most ages.
Absolutely. I talk about it all day. Let's go.
Thanks for joining us on Mompreneur Mindset. We hope you're leaving with fresh ideas, a little encouragement, and the reminder that you're not doing this alone. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another mom balancing business and life.